My name is Tony Schmidt. I am a gratitude coach and social media consultant here in the Philadelphia area. I am a motivational speaker, and I help people with social media. I have 10 clients that I help, and also help with gratitude coach and life coaching as well. And I was introduced to Dennis here from Carolyn Rim, who I'm sure is going to be jumping in with us shortly. And he's just doing some really amazing things. So Dennis, if you want to introduce yourself and tell people what you're doing, that would be great.
All right. My name is Dennis Langley, and right now I'm currently the podcaster of 5 Minute Bark, and also have a platform called the Team Cody Dog, where we work in the similar area as you. We have a platform to help people reach their goals. So with 2016 coming up, we're doing a great push here to provide this platform to people to help them reach their goals and become a better person, not just in monetary fashion, but in personal development. So I don't really call myself a coach. I guess I got a podcast that's very inspirational, and people seem to like it from over 40 different countries in the world. So pretty excited about that. And, I think I'm a giver. I just love to give to people. I'm out in any way I can. And that's what's really kind of gave me all the success that I've had so far is understanding the person on the other side, and talking to them and listening to them and helping them and making them happy. It's really the most important thing. So I think I see Carolyn.
Yeah, I think she's getting ready to jump on.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great. That's an inspiration to so many people. And I think your story about venturing out at 15 years old and traveling the world to do BMX, bicycling, really shows who you are. And I always talk about gumption. I'm convinced that the most successful people in the world are not the most talented or the most brilliant, but they have gumption, which means that they're brave enough to reach for the stars, and they find the resources they need to make it happen. And I believe that you, Dennis, are a great example of that. To go at 15 years old and travel the world, that must have been so intimidating, but for some reason you thought that that's where you needed to be. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Well, quite honestly, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I see the Phillies hat on there. But I wanted to be a professional baseball player at first. And I went to baseball practice and I saw this guy riding a bike. And one of my issues I had with baseball is it required my parents to get me to work, get me to baseball practice, pick me up for that matter. And they were both working at the time, and we had 5 children in our family. So I wasn't the only person, that needed attention. So I ended up kind of migrating to bike riding because I could handle everything. I could ride the bike, and I didn't have to have anybody pick me up or anything, so to speak. I could get places with the bike and do the trick. So I guess that kind of helped me gravitate toward bike riding, and just the excitement of just doing tricks. Like, we all want to accomplish something, and I could literally go out in a day and I could learn how to jump the bike in the air in one day. So the instant gratification was kind of really fun. We all like instant gratification, and bike riding, being that there's hundreds of different tricks, we had the instant gratification thing going on. So
that's awesome. Hey, Carolyn, Good morning.
I am so sorry that I wasn't on at 10 a.m. I actually, it was the first night that I didn't sleep well, so I'm so sorry that I woke up at 5:30. I do a morning call at 6:30 a.m. every morning, and today was no different. And then I was like, I'll just close my eyes for 5 minutes, So, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm supposed to be on a blab. But that isn't
no problem. We're glad you're here now.
Yeah.
So Dennis is telling us that about his.
I was telling how much we love you.
That's what yes, we do love you.
Thank you. Well, I love you too, Dennis. You're amazing. I'm so grateful.
Well, we have somebody on your way to your house to give you a spanking for being late. So.
Well, everyone knows I like a spanking.
I saw this Facebook. Facebook profile with somebody giving themselves a spanking. So.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah.
I get so many comments on that. I do that often. It's my pattern break. Try to slap your own ass and not smile. It's impossible.
She's crazy. That's why we love her. I love her passion and excitement. It's really great. So Dennis, so when you were 15, you started doing this BMX and touring the world, and having a blast. And then at what point did you decide to become an entrepreneur and, start 5 Minute Bark and help millions of people all across the world do great things?
You want the truth?
I do.
We want to make up a good story. All right, well, I knew I was an entrepreneur from literally, I don't even know if I was 4 years old or not, but I remember being at my grandmother's house and I saw the Boston Red Sox on the TV, and she had this big TV. So it was a long time ago. And I just remember I want to be that person that's on that TV at a very, very young age. I wanted to be exciting. I wanted to do something different. And from there, I went and started doing baseball, but I just, I've never had a real job for any length of time, more than a week or two.
Wow.
The longest I had a job is 2 weeks, and it was a bet from a roommate of mine that said you couldn't work a real job, which he was totally right. But funny thing is here I am, this athlete that's traveled the world, and I've been to all the finest hotels in the world. And I went and started working at a place in San Diego called the Catamaran as a busser. All right, here I am bussing tables, and it was a really great experience because here I am. I'm the one that's usually getting served the food, and now here I am bussing the people, and it was just so humbling to be in that position. Oh my God, I am on the other side right now. And I learned a lot from that 2-week excursion until I spilt about 12. I didn't know how to carry a plate, so I got told to carry a plate of orange juices with wine glasses. So it's a fancy place, and I spilled all the orange juice over a bride that just got married. So I went in the back room, packed my stuff, and left.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was my extent of working for somebody 2.5 weeks as a bet. And I just love the challenge of working for myself and doing great things. It's just I wouldn't ever fit in a corporate job. I'm just not made for it. I mean, I don't like to be told what to do, so to speak. I want to get up like Carolyn when I want to get up and I want to do what I want to do, right? So I'm stubborn.
Have a rough night. Ask Missy.
So I heard somebody that was an entrepreneur the other day that said that they were unemployable.
Yeah. Solopreneur. Yeah. I am unemployable. They wouldn't be able to put up with me. There's no way. Well, how many times have you heard friends that are in corporate jobs that have high-powered jobs making figures, and they go in there and they get hired at a new job, and they go in there and they want to change the company. They want to help the company. They see something that makes sense, and then they open their mouth, and all of a sudden, silently, they're let go. You can't have a voice of an entrepreneur in a corporate society because everybody thinks of it as it's a competition-oriented atmosphere. Everybody is
I've been fired.
Yeah, everybody's trying to one up each other. It's a competition, and they're not realizing it's a sharing environment. So they're desperate to get that next level. So they're going to talk trash behind somebody else's job, behind somebody else's back to get that position. I mean, you see it on TV all the time. You see it in real life. I had so many friends who have lost out, right? And me, I'm going to speak out all day long. I mean, I'm speaking out right now. So I never would fit in there anyway. So I'm unemployable. Yep.
Yeah.
I think you have that. I think that you definitely have that entrepreneur spirit. And I think that you can tell for people who have that entrepreneur spirit. I know for me, I worked in a cube for 10 years, and I remember going into work and having to try to fit my star-shaped self in a circle, kind of shape. And I kept having to, okay, you're a circle. And it's like, no, you're a star. You know what I mean? So it's like trying to be someone you're not every day. And I'm so grateful that I decided to embrace that entrepreneur spirit, because it's not easy, Dennis. I know we've talked about this. I don't think that when you first start out as an entrepreneur, it's easy, but I definitely think that it's necessary. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people who don't give themselves that chance,
Right. One of the most proud people I've ever witnessed is my dad. My dad worked in the grind for most of his life. And I don't know if it was in his 50s, he decided to change. But he had to drive over 40 minutes to work one way. So he had to go to work, 5 kids, doing the grind. He was just absolutely miserable his whole life. He was always, we called him a grumpy noonie. And one day he decided to take control of his life. He opened a little country store back in Boston. And I've never seen him so happy. I've never seen him so free. Like he's so creative. He makes sandwiches, and he's so creative making the sandwiches for his guests at the store. Just love him. They're like, "Hey, Noonie, what do you got for me today?" You know, "Oh, I'm making some new pizza. You know, we got some new pizza back here." You know, so he's so happy. He's like creative and excited. But he, you know, like many, has got himself out of the what's that noise coming from? You guys hearing that noise? Oh. He got himself out of the rat race and into to the entrepreneurial world, and he loves it. Now he lives in different cities. He lives in Florida sometimes, Boston sometimes. He's running perfectly, so he's really happy. So if anybody's out there trying to make that jump, he definitely bridged it slowly. He did it the conservative way. He bought the business and got some people to run it, and slowly just kind of went from corporate to be an entrepreneur. So I'm proud of him for doing that leap, because now he lives the life he wants to live. He'd be still working right now because he at one point lost all of his pension, and he was, you know, up the creek with no paddle. So he turned it around, kind of like what's that guy, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh yeah, Colonel. That story is crazy, isn't it?
Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the story? It was like he took his chicken to like 30 different places, and they said no.
No, it was over 1,000. It was over 1,000. No, I'm pretty sure it was. I almost want to Google it.
Right. You might be right. It was a lot.
It was almost over 1,000, but he kept getting so many no's, and he did it anyway.
1,001 no's.
Yeah. He just kept going. He kept going. And finally, I think it was 1,009. Actually, I know for a fact. I think it's 1,009 places that Colonel Sanders went, and he finally got his yes, and it was for millions of dollars, right?
Yep.
And what would America do without our bucket of KFC?
Yeah.
Delicious.
I shared a post before this happened last night, this blab, because everybody kind of thinks that we just kind of come into success. But I had to film a 40-second video yesterday for a promotion I'm doing. And it took me over 85. I have to go do it again today. I'm probably going to do it another 80 times. But I showed the clip on my iPhone of all the I don't know if you want to go to my Facebook page and see that, but all the takes that I took. And if I missed one word, I had to go all over again and do it all over again. And at the time, I was cooking chicken, so I could have the steam in the background, so I could just have people to engage people. And my chicken was starting to get dry, and the water would keep on, evaporating. So I had to go over and put more water in, and I had spice in there, so the spice was getting my nose and making me itch. It was crazy. But I mean, the things we do, to make things happen, it's relentless. We have to have what I call a supernatural faith, right? It's like nonstop hard work. So,
Consumption.
Are you guys hearing that tone, that feedback there? I don't know where that's coming from. Okay.
And maybe my heat just turned on. I don't know if you guys can hear my heat turning on. That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think I can hear it.
You can hear that?
Dennis has like bionic ears. Did you guys hear that pin drop 3 houses over like 10 seconds ago? I swear I could have heard that.
I'm like, my heat.
Headphones on. He does have the really good headphones on. I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
My headphones aren't even plugged into the computer.
That leads us to something else. And every business I've gotten into, I realized that it's so important to provide the best service possible and to provide the most professional possible products or whatever. When I had the Extreme Sports Company, we had some of the best ramps. I went out and spent $17,000 on building a ramp versus my competition went go and build it in their backyard with some wood and some nails. And when I showed up to my clients, they just saw this presentation, right? It's not just the voice we do or the things we do. It's the presentation, right? And they're required to wear a uniform, right? And I had a good friend of mine who told me, I'm like, why do you want to drive a Mercedes? And I asked him, he's like, Dennis, this is part of my uniform. And it makes a lot of sense because the first impressions can get you out the door or in the door, right? In anything, in any situation. So why do I have a backdrop here? Well, because it's going to give me that one little edge. I need to have you maybe listen to one more sentence. And if you listen to that one more sentence, then I might be able to get into your head and help you in some sort of way or do something or so on and so forth. So I've always tried to have, the right stuff. Like when I went out and bought a microphone, I tried to get the best one possible. I had to borrow the money to get the microphone. So, but I knew that was so important because now you can hear my voice much clearer. You can You can see my podcast. What is the podcast? Oh, the 5 Minute Bark. So I was lucky enough to get a company to sponsor me with those. So it's very important to do everything with the most professional way possible. You know, customer service is huge. So if you want to be an entrepreneur,
more about that? How you got some sponsorships? Because I'm sure other people, you know, they're just starting out too. And they're, you know, it really does take a village when you're an entrepreneur. If you try to do everything on your own, you're not going to succeed. Robert can attest to that as well, because it can be very lonely being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. You know, we all kind of talked about this earlier yesterday. I was showing you my, you know, when I launched my company, I made sure I had a page on myself. All right. Telling people about myself. So I took the time to make a video myself. And it's not fun making it. And you all know that it's not fun making a bragging video about yourself, but people don't know you. You got to tell them about you. You got to tell them about your accomplishments, whether it's to build a website or travel the world, doesn't matter. Any kind of accomplishment, you have to show something to start, right? You know, Tony Robbins was just a motivational speaker. He didn't go out and shoot 68 at golf, or he didn't drive race cars or anything. He just was a motivational speaker. And he admitted that, listen, I take everybody's information and that's great. And I'm sharing it with you. I didn't make this up. I'm telling you what this guy did. And I'm going to help regurgitate it so you can understand it. I'm good at making you understand it. Right. So when you go out to get sponsors, it's tricky because in the sponsorship situation, a lot of times you don't want to be in the person asking for sponsorships. You want to be the person that's showing to be professional. So in this case, like somebody's watching me right now that might be a sponsor of mine, like, hey, you know what, this guy's professional. You know, we know he's not fooling around. They maybe probably contact you and go, listen, hey, Dennis, you know, I like what you do. Can we work something out to maybe get on that banner in the background, or maybe get something on your mic or on your shirt or whatever? They'll contact you. So it's kind of one of those things where it's a catch-22. You don't want to necessarily chase it. You want to fake it till you make it, or just continue to present professionally. But I think.
Well, I have a quick question, Dennis, about that. I don't mean to interrupt, but I really do have a question about that. So let's say because I think there's a lot of people who are not even on this recording, but that need to know this. So one, there's all different types of sponsorships, right?
Yes.
So let's just say you have a video. Like I have a video that has 100,000 views now. Like, but I don't have any sponsorships on it. Like where do you put the sponsorships? Like, I think it's a great question, Tony, that you asked, but I think it needs a little bit more clarity on where and how can I use that, you know?
Well, let's ask this, Carolyn. You got the 100,000 views. Obviously your attention, obviously there's two things that are going on. Obviously you're trying to show the world a reality, right? What you did. And it was very honest. It was very honest. I noticed it was very real. So you got that part down. At the same time, you're trying to get attention for yourself and let people know that you care and you want to help people, right? So
I do.
With that, again, it's all an energy transfer with the world, right? So if you're doing an energy transfer with the world, then you're going to get some sort of message from somebody, right? I always kind of try to tell people now, and this is one of my biggest awakenings this year, is everywhere we are, there's an opportunity. Whether you're in a desert or here on this blab right now, there's there's somebody watching here right now, or there's something happening between us here now that has opportunity to go forward. It's just that if you're going to be awake to it, you're going to, like right now, there's people putting things in this chat thing here. I haven't had a chance to read them yet, but somebody might be saying something really great that we might want to look at or respond to, that then grows onto something else, right?
Right.
Or there's somebody that's participating here that you might want to click and see what their profile is and see who they are and see how you can reach out to them. So there's opportunity everywhere around us, whether it's Facebook.
We'd love to have you guys in the seat. If somebody wants to join in, we'd love to have you join in.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really, really.
But yeah, there are opportunities everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think someone asked a great question too. How do you promote your business without coming across too self-promotional as well?
Right. Well, you just be yourself, and they're going to ask the question. So, just like you guys, I've never promoted my business to you guys. You guys have asked me, and now I'm on your show. So you never, right? So it's how it is. I'm not going to not have this there because people are going to ask that anyway, and they're going to wonder who I am. So, you can call that promotion. Yeah, sure it is. But I'm also trying to look professional and let you know that I'm going to show up for I have to respect the time that you have given me here, right? So I'm not going to just show up and hey guys, I just got out of bed. Sorry, no, I'm going to show up. So I got myself ready for this and I showed up. It's all about show up. Who's going to show up today? When you leave this blab, where are you going to show up next? Right? Is what really has to happen. Like the opportunity is, everybody that's listening right now, there is opportunity for you today. Just a matter of you want to show up and deal with it. That's really, and if you start doing that, your life changes unbelievably, really quickly. So I promise.
I think it's more about like branding. You're absolutely right. I think, and Carolyn's right. I think it's more about branding and executing, immersing yourself in what you love. And the other stuff kind of, falls into it. But you do a great job with branding. I know that Robert does, like, he has like the red wall is like his thing. Brian Fanzo always wears the hat, and Sebastian always has the bow tie on. So that can help you to promote indirectly, I think. You don't want to promote in a way, oh, he lost his wall. Well, I don't know why Robert says he lost his wall. He doesn't do the red wall anymore. But and you have your dog. Your dog is part of your branding as well. But
absolutely.
But I think that helps you to promote indirectly.
Absolutely.
Whereas
Cody, the little things
He's
like
right here.
that. It's a little. He actually brought his dog on when I did the 5-minute mark with him, which is really funny. But I think too, with branding is branding yourself. And I was talking to Tony about this yesterday. She was giving me some feedback, and that's really important too, like positive feedback. I don't mean to be take us another subject, but I think that who we show up as really brands ourselves. So Dennis, I love what you said. You showed up today, you were ready, you were on fire. And normally, as Tony, I normally am on fire and ready to rock and roll. So I do apologize, but it is about, I think, just continuing to put one foot in front of the other, because as an entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to we see that beautiful dog, Cody dog. But I think that as an entrepreneur, you're definitely going to make mistakes, but branding yourself as that person who continues to move forward regardless, continues to take action, regardless of anything else.
Yeah, there's definitely, there's the mechanical way of branding yourself where you send out 1 million emails and you get response eventually. Or there's the way that I think you and I are doing, Carolyn, where we're just kind of, we're using ourselves to brand. We're more using a referral base more than, I'm going to relentlessly email market you. So there's kind of like, in our business, is kind of a catch-22 to that. We have to kind of be careful. We're not drowning people with advertising. So it's kind of like a catch. It's really, I'm still looking for how to handle all that. It's like, obviously I want to pay the bills. Obviously I want to live the dream life, but I also want to give more than I get. It's one of the, in my entrepreneur's code, we have a thing called give more in exchange for value than your money receive. So it's very important, right? So if you're giving more, then you cannot feel bad about taking from somebody because you gave them twice the value, right, than you offered. So it's very important to do that. So I'm actually going to share that video with everybody here so they can have that. It's a pretty cool video.
Yeah, and also share your link with your group too, because you guys both bring up a great point about creating a community in order to promote yourself, because you can only give somebody so much information. I don't care if you're the smartest person in the world. I mean, you only have one perspective, right? So right. Building that community, I think, is brilliant, because you're using other people, and if people are interested in you and what you have to offer, then they're going to be interested in Carolyn, or they're going to be interested in me, and they're going to be interested in other people. And the more value you can give them, the more they'll respect you, right? In the long run.
That's definitely true, Tony. I love the community, she said, because I know that, Tony, I've talked to you about this before. I'm actually making a product that's going to come out soon for building a community on Facebook, because it makes you an instant expert when you build a community. And not just that, but you're building your audience. Like, I love building audiences, and my audience expects me to have products. So Dennis, I love what you said. You don't want to be too self-promotional, but I feel like my audience is like, okay, Carolyn, what's next? Like the people in my 99-day dare, they're like, Carolyn, what's next? When's the next 99-day dare? Exactly. So it's just that constant thing,
Because you provided,
Good morning, Robert.
more value. You provided more value than exchange, right?
I love it. Yes, I did. I absolutely did. I absolutely gave so much value in that.
Yeah, it's.
So, good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good, Tony. Thanks for sending me the message at 6:49 this morning. Hey, I'm doing an interview today. Can you come on? Tony's my wake up IM on Facebook every day.
Was it that early when I texted you? When I sent you a message?
Yes.
Did I wake you up?
No, what are you kidding me? I got a sick child at home.
And you're an entrepreneur.
You know, I wanted to bring up that point that I wrote earlier, and I was curious what Dennis thought about. Because I'm fighting a little cold, so excuse me with my voice. If you do everything yourself, are you really an entrepreneur?
Are you doing everything yourself? You're never ever doing it yourself. I'm always having people around me to contribute.
I'm saying the normal person out there. Everybody think they're, the word entrepreneur is thrown around very easily. Right. And there are so many people that are afraid to give up control in their mind about things, whether it's the accounting, whether it's whatever it is. And if they're doing every single thing, but I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
If they're doing every single thing themselves and triple checking it.
I didn't make wealth until I had a company that obviously revolved around me. I was an extreme sports bike rider, and I had these riders that ride for me. So every show I had to show up and I had to be there and command that. Like you said, I had to be in charge because I didn't want anything to go wrong, because we were in front of a lot of people that were very critical of what we were doing. That extreme sports athletes tend to be a little more extreme. So, and I could tell you stories, but I wanted to be there to make sure that everybody was, oh my God, you could be, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. But when I finally let go and I decided to trust other people out there, my wealth quadrupled. So I was able to do, I had one example of one time I had over 35 different events going on in one day. So can you imagine 35 different locations around the country, there's somebody doing what I do for me. And I was I'll always never forget that day. I'm like, oh my God, I have 35 of me out there doing, doing the same thing. Kind of like Tony Robbins. Now, he's not the only speaker in his group. He's got other people. He started teaching people and trusting them to, hey, you got to deliver what I want and have it said. So it's difficult, definitely, and I still struggle with it personally right now because I need help desperately in this whole thing I'm creating, because there's so much to do, editing, everything. There's so much to do. And, but it's hard to relinquish that control. But when you do, it takes there's a time period it takes for that transition to happen. But then you go, I was able to take 3 years off from work because I did that. I took 3 years off and played golf for 7 days a week for 3 years, and my company still ran. I still made the money I wanted to. It didn't go up in revenue, but it held itself together. So the power of definitely, teaching people what you do is great, and having them under you and making sure that they're happy and doing what they do. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a quote that I started living by right about the time Periscope showed up, because that started taking all my time. Because a lot of people are afraid to, like we said, give up control, and a lot of people are also afraid to ask for help because they think it's demeaning, like I can't do it myself, I can do this. So I live by this quote now: to reach great achievements, you have to ask for help along the way.
Absolutely. Well, I think greatest
people in the world do that.
What is Steve Jobs said a great thing. He says, I only hire A people, and if they're not, then they're, because I want people that do feed their brains with what I need to have done, because I have the creativity, but I need you to create it. So, in 1980s, he thought about the iPad, right? But he needed to accumulate from 1980 to 2008 all the people that he could find to build that product. I mean, obviously over time, our cell phones used to be this big. They went to this, to this, to this, and this. Now it's, this thin. This thing right here can fill this entire room up with plastic in 1991, right? There'd be fax machines, boxes of photos, boxes of DVDs, boxes of calendars. I mean, this, see, we can see how thin that is? It's even thin without this thing. Replaces all of this, all the plastic, all the paper. My companies were always paperless because of the technology, right? I refuse to have a piece of paper. There's no paper on my desk. I go to some friends' place, there's stacks and stacks and stacks. I said, nope. And when clients would ask me to fax things, I don't fax it. I email it. You know, it's just, I'm making, you know, this is what I do. I'm using technology because it's there for us. So it's great.
Yeah, I think, you know, it can look like so many different things, right? When we partner with people, there's co-authoring books, there's hiring interns, there's collaborating on projects, but there's power in numbers, right? So the more that we can, like, the mistake that I think so many entrepreneurs make, and I've made too, is, oh, they're competition. So I don't want to do something with them because then, you know, they may take my clients or they may take my customers or something like that. But there's really power in numbers, and there's powers with connecting with people. And I wanted to share with you guys a little bit story because you're talking about technology. I don't think Robert or Carolyn, I don't think I've told you guys this story, but growing up, my parents owned a newspaper business in my basement, which is ironic because I'm in social media now. And I constantly think about that. And I can still remember, like, the typesetter. I can remember the big, there was a big glass table, and for each word, I guess it was each word, they would take an X-Acto knife and cut out the words, and then I can still smell the rubber cement that was used to create the typesetting, and then they would send it off to the printer, and then
I gotta get someone to show you something.
And then when it went out, he's excited. When it went out, it went out. There was no, like, you know, I'm trying to do, like, analytics of all my clients now. Like, how do I measure it? What can I change? There was no changing it. Like, you went out and you don't know what happened in the 80s. My parents made this newspaper. It was a, what's it called? Like a trade talk where you can buy and sell classified ads, like newspaper. It wasn't like a regular newspaper. But when it went out.
This is my first brochure I ever did. It's all copy and I didn't have a computer. So I took words. The only reason my company name was Perfection on Wheels is because I could only find the words. This is my very first brochure, 1991.
Wow.
I look back at it now and it makes no sense, but it makes perfect sense. Isn't that cool? This is the first one. I mean, and I can show you. You can see it's like not. It's all cut and paste. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? Your next advance. I mean, I tried to find words that like said something, but this brochure made me like, I don't know. I mean, I had nothing at the time, so it made me like $8,000 or $15,000, and then from there, I went and had beautiful brochure made, and actually I got a sponsor to chip in the money, and kind of like one of those things I was explaining earlier, like being aware of what's around you. I went and did a show at a school, and I noticed there was a company there giving away helmets. So I went and talked to him. I said, "Oh wow, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, well we're promoting the helmet law." This is before the helmet law became popular in the United States. Actually, Pennsylvania is one of the biggest proponents of the helmet law in the United States, by the way. And and what it really ended up being, it's really kind of sad, but we all know it. It was the helmet laws that the helmet companies that were promoting the law so they could sell helmets. So I said, listen, hey, I'm going around doing hundreds of shows at these schools. Why don't you let's work together? So they end up giving me this money to free helmets and printing brochures for me and doing my mailings for me and saving me tens of thousands of dollars. But it helped them because they could just piggyback on my show and then offer the school helmets at a discount. So it worked very well. So that was me kind of being aware in the moment. What was around me at that time? I could have just went to that show. Like, unfortunately, most of my athletes do. They go to the show, collect the check, and leave. Right? We go to our job, we collect the check and leave. We don't go, okay, what's around? I kind of did a thing the other day at my job.
I gotta jump in there, Dennis, too. When you say what's around you, like you keep talking about opportunities. I love it, and I'll tell you why. Because
she's so aware. She's so in the present. She's so in the present. Look at her in present. She doesn't care about anything else. But we can learn from this, right? Look at. See how present she is?
No, we definitely can. Yeah. I was just going to say real quick, it's never about a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. That is one of my favorite lines because Tony Robbins always talks about modeling someone that has what you want and the resources that are around you. Like for me, I didn't know how to build websites, and I had a guy trying to charge me $5,000 to build a website. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to learn to code myself. Yep. And in 80 hours, I learned to code and build a website, and I did it myself. And it didn't look amazing, but it was good enough. It was a website. I did it. I shared my story, and people were like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yep.
And so I think it's definitely knowing what's within us. Like you're saying, opportunities around us. There's within you too a drive and a passion to be able to cultivate what you need to make happen,
Gumption, baby.
Yeah.
Gumption. Oh no.
It's all about gumption.
Is there any great questions out there from the audience that we can answer or anything like that? I see a lot.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to just say
Robert, you're on mute or something. We can't hear you, Robert.
We
can see your lips moving.
I think you have to teach them how to do a question. I think it's a Q and a slash.
Is that better?
Is it?
I can hear Robert.
Left side.
Honey, how do you do a question?
Wait, I'll set it up. I have a GIF for a question.
I can't hear him at all. I can see his lips moving, but
Carolyn, you hear me?
I hear you.
Can you hear him, Dennis?
To refresh.
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to,
all right. Maybe I need to refresh.
Here's
Go ahead, Robert. Ask the question.
Well, I was going to say.
If anybody wants to ask a question, you put a slash and then a Q and then put your question.
I just put a GIF up for it.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
Just type /Q. How to type a question. And if anybody wants that GIF, just click it and save it in your browser, so then you can always paste it into to have it.
How do you do that, by the way? How do you put images up there? I want to put an image of me up there.
It has to be a GIF. Yeah. If it ends in .gif, you can put it in the address in the chat, and it shows up that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
This is why I love Robert.
So what's your question?
Well, I don't really have a question. Well, I actually do. I mean, I'm not familiar with 5 Minute Bark podcast, so I want to know more about that. But what was I going to say? Because I got thrown off when Tony said she couldn't hear me. Tell me about the podcast first. It'll come back, I swear.
It's not that there's 50,000 things going on. You can't imagine why you lose track, right? On these blabs, it's like, tell a bird, and there's this.
No, it was a statement.
Well, I think Frank Clark had a question too. So Frank Clark can jump in too. Frank Clark is an entrepreneur. He's raised over $50 million for businesses before. So I would love for him to jump in too, Tony, so he can ask Dennis a question if he has one.
Yeah. The quick thing, and I'm going to jump out. You made the comment that anything can happen anywhere. Anywhere is an opportunity, even on blabs that are not yours.
Absolutely.
If you get involved in the conversation, and I'm going to give a story that's 2 minutes. I was in a blab Sunday night, and I was talking, and everybody knows I talk social media. That's what I do for a living. I train, I coach, I do all that stuff. And a guy asked me for his email address while I was in the blab, and he turned around and emailed me 20 minutes later. We were on the phone Monday morning, and now he's my client.
There you go. See? I have a great...
Just never know who's listening, who's around, or better yet, who anybody else knows.
Right. I have a great story. I obviously have my own podcast, and 1 second. Excuse me. I went to a blab, and I'm a podcaster, and they had this podcast. It's called International Podcast Day, and there was literally 1,000 people viewing the podcast. It was crazy. And they said, okay, we're going to have some people come on the blab and blah, blah, blah. So just, if you want in, go in. So usually I'd be like nervous and go, maybe I shouldn't do this or should. And I listened to one of my own podcasts. Actually, my friend Cameron Zubinat said, outside your comfort zone, go for it. Don't wait a second. I didn't wait a second. And he said, the first person that types in this, boom, I typed it, bang, and I was on the screen. And here I am with the best podcaster in the world. And I'm getting to react with these people. And I got to be in front of 1,000 people just by acting and showing up and being responded, right? Pretty amazing. I mean, it didn't really end up being anything besides accomplishment for me, but it was exciting.
Well, Dennis, it was great meeting you. I want to let Frank jump in. Carolyn,
yeah, I'm gonna friend you here or follow you.
Bye, Robert. Very nice to see you.
And Tony,
And
you
me
know
too.
how I feel about you.
I would just want to say to your comment of the getting the clients, Robert, you got 22 and 70 days. I actually posted a post about my first launch on my product. And I made 10K in 1 month on one launch of my product. And by posting my PayPal results, I crossed out all the names. I was able to get 9 clients in 1 month, just from social media, just from that one post that my mentor, Joseph McClinton.
Those 22 are just from Periscope and Blab.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And you see, that's what I'm talking about, making it happen anywhere. Like, you can make it happen from Blab. You can make it happen from social media. Like, people don't know how to use these platforms to get their clients. But a lot of people are just making that 2mm shift to show people how to do it, and it transforms their whole business. Like for me, BNI transformed my whole business. Social media transformed my whole business. So it's a great process. Thank you so much for sharing that story.
And to answer your question, Robert, Dennis's podcast, he brings on some really great top-notch people, like leaders, people that have done amazing things, and he interviews them not for just 5 minutes. Fortunately, it's longer than that because you don't want it to end after 5 minutes, because he asks great questions and really is skillful in what he does. So I just wanted to answer that question for you, because you have to get it on your phone, download, listen to some of his podcasts. They're really great.
I'll put the link. I'll put the link in the.
Yeah, let me go back to the chat room because I got to go take care of my daughter. I hear her coughing a little bit.
I hope you guys feel better.
Yeah, I'm over it. She just had an ear infection, so she's out of school for a couple of days. Yay me!
Working from home. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you
soon.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Robert. So you put it in there?
Good. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I want Frank Clark to be Dennis.
Yep.
Frank, jump.
I did too.
When you're ready. There he is.
Hey,
What's
Frank.
up, Frank?
Hey, Frank. How you doing?
I can't hear him.
You can't understand the words coming out of your mouth.
Can you hear him?
No.
You can't hear him.
I can't hear you.
Okay, so I guess that means he has to jump out and jump back in. Let's try again.
Better?
There we go. Now we got you.
There we go. Did you get a haircut? You look fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I did.
Nice.
When I didn't get a haircut, I got them all cut. The old Great to see you, ladies. I'm thrilled to see you on here this morning. I owe each of you a personal debt of gratitude for Tony. Carolyn introducing me to Tony, and Tony talking to me about Blab and Periscope, because that was kind of what gave me the fire, the spark to get on here. Spark your rock star, Carolyn, right?
Yeah, I know that me and you did a Blab together, Frank, too.
Yeah, you were my first Blab interview, actually.
Yeah.
You were my first Blab interview, and it's been amazing. I've met some extraordinary people on here, and am building a business actually on here with a couple of people that I met a week ago.
It's possible, baby. Anything's possible.
So if you'll let me, I'm going to actually post the link and announcement. I want to learn more about Dennis. And Dennis, I think you're going to like this based on what Carolyn was just saying about you and what you're doing. But we're going to be doing a series of interviews. We're going to be doing a conference all about startups here on Blab.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. So
it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I'm actually officially announcing it for the first time right here, right now. So here's the link.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
And here's the other link. And I'm working with Lori Webb, who developed the Big Blab event. If you guys saw that last month, 168-hour Big Blab event.
Is that what you were talking about, Dennis?
No, this was the international podcast.
Oh, okay.
Event. Yeah, all the podcasts. It was actually a 24-hour Blab, if you can believe it.
Oh, wow.
One full day. Yeah.
Wow.
Were you on the whole time?
I wasn't. I was only on.
Maybe we should do that.
So
maybe we should do that. We should stay.
Ours is going to be a 24-hour Blab, but it's not going to be all connected. It's going to be 3 days, 8 hours a day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very cool.
And we've got some extraordinary speakers. Click on the links and check it out. But the chief technical officer for Blab, who's a serial entrepreneur himself, is also going to be on there to kick off the conference. We've got successful entrepreneurs. We've got subject matter experts, including some of the people I've already interviewed on Blab, like David Lakhani, who's an expert on persuasion and influence, Armin Morin, who's one of the top internet marketers.
Thank you so much for coming on and telling us about that. I can't wait to check it out for sure.
It's going to be awesome.
Do you have a question for Dennis?
So I kind of chimed in late, but tell me a little bit about some of the types of entrepreneurs and people that you interview on your podcast and how you've built that up.
How did I build it up? Well, I started actually out as one second. I got 10 people doing things.
Are you multitasking, Dennis?
Well, I got people testing. Where's the Blab? Where's the Blab? Where's the Blab? I'm trying. I should.
Shame on you! No.
Put the screen up.
He's talking to the people in the chat room.
Yeah, trying to answer questions. But I started the podcast. I actually had 2 podcasts. One's called Made in America, and then I don't really promote that one. It's more of a personal blog one. But I have the 5-minute bar was an intention to set the tone for a winning day every day. So I was trying to come up with some content every day to set the tone for everybody's day to kind of get it. It's like like a coffee in the morning, so to speak, with inspirational moments. So what happened is I had to promote it. And the only way you can really promote it is to have guests on and have them help inspire. So I started bringing on guests. And my first guest was actually one of my most popular guests is Steve Weatherford from the New York Giants. And he came on and we just fired it up. And it was really fun. And I was like, this could work. So I just started having great guests on. And then, of course, I was just, on Facebook and running into different people, life coaches and different things. And I ran into Carolyn that way. And, so it just kind of moved on to different things. I've had Dr. Marty Fowler on and the guy that invented email, Lee Stein. So all these different people that just come on the podcast. And I just got contacted by the guy from UGG Boots who founded UGG Boots. So he's going to be coming on here soon. Cool. And all these cool people. So
now when you do the podcast, are you doing it solely on one platform, or are you doing it on multi-platforms, like, transposing it to Blab or Periscope or some of these other things? And
I do a video of each one, and I do an audio for now. It's just I don't do the Blab thing yet for the podcast. I'm trying to keep the quality there, and I'm not really sure if I'm ready for it because the Blabs kind of get interrupted and so on and so forth. So those interruption things going on, and I know my friend Annie does it, and she perfected it, but I'm not good at that yet. I'm not the best.
Yeah, we're all learning, obviously.
Yeah. So it has to kind of be a dedicated part to that. So I've been having.
For time integrity purposes, Tony, we are ending at 11, correct?
Yes, that is true. I just want to ask Dennis one more question.
Sure.
So I think that it's a great point that you're like using your talents and you're knowing what you're good at, because there is definitely a place for podcasts because, I know I've been listening to podcasts for years, way before live came around. And I like that it's focused and it has the content that I want and there's no interruptions. So I think it's great that you're aware of that and you know what you need to do and what you're best at, and you use those tools. Some people are great at like multitasking and doing this and doing that. But you're really listening to what your listeners need and what they want. And I think that's great that you're saying, you're saying like, I'm going to do what I know now, if I'm not comfortable with that. But just jumping on here, I mean, sometimes you got to step outside your comfort zones, right? And connect with people. But it is a different platform because if you want a podcast and you want just 2 people, that's different. Right? There's value in having 4 people in a chat room, and there's value having 2.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, when I had my other company running really well, started trying to venture off.
Dennis, I don't mean to interrupt you. I do have to run. I actually have a client at 11:30, but I do want to say goodbye. And Dennis, thank you so much for coming on. I love you. I think you're such an inspiration.
Right.
And that sign in the background, if you guys want a sign like that, I'm buying a sign from Dennis like that. He freaking makes them. He's incredible with it. Check him out if you want a sign like that.
I don't hand make it.
Awesome.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
Carolyn, great seeing you. I've got 2 people I want to introduce you to, Carolyn. So connect with me
Frank,
later.
yes, let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk later.
Bye, Tony.
Thank you.
Bye, Carolyn.
So getting back to what was I? So Focus. So yeah, I had started a business software. It's actually Focus. It was actually called appprocessor.com. It was a business CRM. It's actually still online, but I don't promote it anymore. And I was trying to do that and then run my other company, and it's really hard to go back and forth. And so many people have 3 or 4 different things they're doing. I just couldn't do it. I just rather be better at one thing or great at one thing. You know, when I focused on golf, I focused on golf. I went from, being a awful golfer to shooting 68, which is absolutely amazing. But I focused only on golf. I went and practiced my 5, 10, 12 hours a day. I went and I did the homework to do it. So I love accomplishing something. But however, other people love to go hiking. They love to go, play soccer. They like to be good at a lot of things. I'm not that kind of person, which I'm not going to say either one's good or bad, but I like to try to stay focused on something, because when I go to bed at night, I shot 68 today. That's like a miracle, to pull that off. Or today I gave it the best in my podcast and I had so much fun, because when I come off of these blabs, I don't come here just to talk to you guys and blab. I come here to give value to everybody that's listening. And I leave this thing and I'm charged up. I'm fired up. You can ask my guests. We talk for like the rest of the day. It's like, oh my God, it was so great. We let's do more. Let's do more. It always happens. So, so I'm just all into like giving your best on everything you do, and I get the sun in my eyes big time, but, yeah, I think it's so important. And with that's what my company's doing with the podcast. And I have, I tried to put a post in the thing, but I came up with a platform that helps people align their goals and work on themselves, both personally and in entrepreneurial spirit. And it's called the Team Cody Dog platform. So, I'm launching that.
Oh yes. Did you put that link, the community link? Is it open to everyone, or is it just certain people?
Somebody said it's not coming up. Goals.codydog.com. And but it's there, and I don't know why this work. I guess this link may work too. I don't know. That one.
You know what just occurred to me, Dennis, when you're talking about that?
Yeah. Do you mind if I go get a blanket and put it up here while you guys talk?
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. But can you imagine if Oprah Winfrey, right? She was, obviously the star of the 80s, and she would interview people. What would she do if she was on Blab?
She would blow it up. I mean, can you imagine like she brings her audience to this platform? I don't know if they have enough server farms to manage it right now. This is still a beta, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's a platform. Like, what if she, what if the next Oprah Winfrey was on, in today's generation, today's world, she's just starting out. I wonder how she would evolve and embrace technology in a different way. But I think Dennis is onto something that, I still think that she would have 2 people, and maybe, she goes in back in the 80s and the 90s when she had her show, she would go out into the audience and occasionally like talk to people. But for the most part, her attention was on the person she was interviewing. And there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, there's definitely something to what he said about just being focused. And that's a personal weakness of mine. I'm not focused enough, and I'm working on it all the time.
It's hard today.
I've got ADD pretty bad, and to combat that, I work out and I meditate every morning to try and help me cultivate and develop my focus. The meditation has been extraordinary. That being said, I'm still always multitasking and taking on too many projects. Mm-hmm. So what you said, Dennis, was critically important about the power and the importance of focus, because like you said, you went from being nowhere in golf to shooting 68, which is extraordinary in just a couple of years by focusing on that and nothing else.
And I think it's amazing. Sorry to interrupt, but I have a friend of mine who's been trying to shoot in the 60s himself, and he's probably a better golfer than I am. But you know what happens is he gets, I don't know if you're familiar with golf, but if, let's say on a par 5, you get on the green in 2 and you're shooting for an eagle, which is happening is it's 2 shots less. In golf, you're trying to shoot a less score than what's called par. So par is 72. You want to shoot less than that, which is 68. So he would get on a green in 2, an amazing feat sometimes, and he would have a putt for eagle. But first thing he would do, he'd say, grab his phone, he'd take a picture, send it to me, and go, I'm putting for eagle. And I just told, and in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, that was a waste of time, because now your dream of shooting 68, you practice. This guy practices 3 or 4 hours a day, plays golf every single day to get to a shoot of 68. So here you are working so hard to be in the moment, and you have the opportunity right in front of you to acquire that goal. You stop and you get your phone and you start taking pictures of it. So that's exactly what people do all the freaking time, is they get in the moment, they get where they want to be, and they don't realize they're there where they want to be. And then they take their phone out, or they take a call, or they do something else. They go to decide to put some laundry in the laundromat, or whatever they do, they just stop themselves in the moment. So when you get yourself there, stay there. The rest of the world doesn't matter. Tell them later when you have accomplished the goal, because the goal wasn't accomplished yet, right? He's about to do it, and he's like, I want to take a picture of it and show, and he sent it to me before he even does it. And I guarantee every single time he misses the putt, and then it's like, you didn't go anywhere. You didn't do anything. So it's like, you gotta.
Yeah, we have
I have a friend. I was going to say, I have a friend who is one of the top sports coaches for the mental game in the country. So he's worked with professional sports teams like the New York Yankees. He worked for 10 years with Pete Carroll, the Seattle Seahawks. So he's, top of his game. And what he teaches is all about the mental game, which is this focus and cultivating this awareness in the moment. And I mean, with the Yankees, that was the difference that helped them at the time he's working with them raise their batting average by, team batting average by 20 or 30 points. Which when you're going from 240 to 260, if you know anything about baseball, that's
well, there's some studies.
That's a huge difference for an average.
Yeah, there's been some studies done out there. I don't know the exact story, but I'm going to kind of bland it to everybody. Is this Olympic? They said this is we're going to try to improve 1% in every aspect of our human existence as an athlete.
Oh yeah, I know.
So they improved their sleep. Yep. They improved how they walked. They improved how they ate. They improved how they did every single thing. And they said we're only going to try to get 1% in each thing. And then their goals were met. So it's also kind of important to understand and improve within the whole, something. So if I want to improve this existence right here, what can I do to improve it? I was blinded by the sun here. I had to put up a or I can make sure I can make sure listen to Tony and Gabe interact with the.
We're losing you a little bit. Poor internet signal.
You may have to X out and call back in again.
But yeah, being present is so important, and it's getting more and more challenging. I think it's going to be even more challenging for the next generation, don't you think, Frank? I mean, think about our
absolutely,
kids.
Especially because all the kids, the younger generation is growing up in this social media and technology ADD society. I mean, every kid's got like a cell phone or a computer or an iPad and a video game of like 4 different platforms, and how do you keep up with that? So you're growing up with constant distraction. What kind of impact is it going to have on you as you grow up? I mean, we spent a lot of time running around outside playing with our friends, and my son is doing some of that, but he spends so much time on electronics, and I try and limit them, but it's kind of what everybody is doing at his age. He's 10 years old,
Yeah.
So I was just talking to my dad about that
as a parent.
He was saying, my dad teaches CPR classes, and he feels like technology is really an addiction. He says that when he's teaching his CPR classes, this is very important stuff because he's teaching to places that need to know CPR for a reason. And he said people can't not check their phone.
Yep.
They can't. And he says to them, if you check your phone, you're going to fail and you're going to potentially lose your job. This is important. I'm saving lives. We're saving lives. I need you for 2 hours. Turn your phone off.
Right.
And he gets really mad. He gets mad at me too.
Yeah.
But he's like, turn your phone off and listen to this information if you don't, or I'm not going to pass you. And I think it is going to become an addiction to people. I know I struggle.
I bet we have, like a Technology Anonymous coming out not in the not too distant future. I mean, Carolyn just did a whole video about that where she, kind of came out and said, I'm doing this and, I know better and I'm doing this and I'm ignoring my daughter. And I know that I'm doing it because he tells me that I'm, too much on my computer and I know better. And I'm still doing it. I can't resist. It's extraordinarily addictive. So cultivating that awareness, cultivating that focus through things like, meditation or yoga or martial arts or, golf even, where you're just getting away, you're turning off the technology. Like for me, when I was working building my company, I would just need to get away on the weekends. And I would go up to the woods and I would go hiking or rock climbing. And I fell in love with rock climbing because when you're up there on a cliff, okay, and you're contemplating your next move, you're not thinking about anything else. You can't. It's like your life is at stake. I mean, you've got protection or whatever, but even though you're on protection, you don't want to fall. You're trying to make that next move, and even when you fall with protection, your heart leaps. So it's like, you feel like your complete and entire focus is just on the next move. Nothing else matters. That's the only thing that you're thinking about. You're not thinking about your bills. You're not thinking about your, family. You're not thinking about what you got to do on Monday. That's what you're thinking about. It's like, what's my next move now? And that just clears your mind. And Dennis, from golf, from the training that you did in golf, it leads to these exquisite moments of clear thinking that are just, blissful. It's
I think meditation and yoga is going to become a big deal because I think people are going to start embracing this noisy world. The world's just getting noisier and noisier, and it's not natural. Like it's not normal. And people I think are going to start really embracing meditation and focusing on what matters. Yeah, no problem. And we're going over time, but I have to ask you one more question, Dennis, because this is a great transition. So we're in this noisy world and everything's going and we're distracted from our goals and what we want to focus on. Right. And Frank, you can chime in here too, because I consider you both successful in what you're doing as entrepreneurs. So Dennis came out with something that I think is really cool, Vision Board. And it is, an app and I think software for the computer. But I think that might help people to stay focused on what really matters. It's not, we get distracted by this tweet or this blab or this, and then it distracts us from our goals and what matters. So how can you help people achieve that, Dennis,
what I built over the years
through what you're providing?
Several different tools to help you in personal development and in business. Within this thing, it's like vision boards where you can actually create a vision board. Not only can you just put we have pictures that you can pre-populate, or you can add your own pictures because they say,
oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. If you say are doing something, if you actually sit in the car you want, or you actually, show yourself working on something, you can put all in there and you can actually put it to music. So you can have it on your phone or have it on your computer. That's just one of the little things that kind of assist in the other things. But some of the two of the greatest tools it has, it's called the mind expansion tool, where you take a situation or several information. If you really want to change your life quickly, you take your conversations, your situation, come through this evaluation, and you find out, they're asked certain questions to enable you to actually recognize the moment and pay attention to it and evaluate it. Because what happens is if you actually do this right here, see what my fingers are doing? If you actually type something that you did and regurgitate it and change it, the next time you come across that occasion, then that is now permanently changed. So you are going to now address that situation completely different the next time you're in it. You're going to be aware of what you did wrong, what you did right, what you can do better, what you can appreciate, and so on and so forth. And then life changes from there. So it applies to goals, it applies to business, it applies to everything within that. We've also created a journal where you can actually journal anything and everything. So if you have a a milestone you've reached or a struggle you're dealing with. So if you put a struggle, you can either put it publicly or privately. So if you put it publicly, life coaches like yourselves can go and help these people, and you can give them help, comment on them, and share advice on how to help themselves. You can you can put all your favorite YouTube videos in there, or if you want to create a video yourself doing something, you can put it in there and you can comment on it and evaluate it all the way through. Different things like that. And then we have workshops. We've created several, there'll be hundreds before you know it, of workshops on different things like social media, how to post to Facebook in the best way, how to present in front of a crowd, how to put together a blab. I've got Ani's course on there. I've done one on how to use iCloud. A lot of people don't even know how to use iCloud. Okay. How to meditate, how to create the best morning. So different things like that are, different things like that are in this platform. There's workshops and there's resources like the things that I use. For example, I use ClickFunnels, or I use all these different resources and why I use them and how they're important. And the whole Team Cody Dog aspect is not just me putting that stuff in, it's people that are suggesting it to me to put it there. Dennis, we need a workshop on, engagement. We need a workshop on knowing your market. So all these things they come to me and I produce them. I go out and find the results and create the best video possible. And you can even comment on the video. Hey, Dennis, it's missing this. We go and then we change the video and make it better and better and better. There's other things like you got a digital business card in there, and there's so many cool, great tools in there that are available within the platform. I'm going to go look at it again because I'm just.
What's it called? Do you have a link for that for everybody who's watching?
Yeah. You can go to goals.codydog.com and you can see it right in there. Goals.codydog.com. It's got a
awesome.
YouTube link.
I think that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. And
is that it?
Yeah, so we'll be working closely with Carolyn and Grateful Tony. They're gonna be kind of working with us they might even get involved in some of the workshops and stuff like that too. So we've got some great things going on. And then obviously there's the private base group they've been talking about. Anybody that joins the thing is now automatically put into that Facebook group, and it's becoming a group of very special people. All my guests on my show are in there. They're there to help and answer any questions. That alone is worth the value because, you get people who invented email, people who are saving the Costa Rica Peninsula, and all these different crazy people in this group are there to help answer questions and enjoy each other and help each other and expand each other. So there's different values,
awesome.
It's different values in different ways in there.
I spelled the link wrong. Can you give me the spelling again? I put goals.codydog. Oh, there it is.
CODIE. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So it's good stuff. It's really exciting stuff. And I've been working on it for 3 years now. And it's been available to a lot of people privately. And now it's been publicly for a couple weeks now. So it's been.
That's so awesome. I'm so excited for you.
I know you guys are over time, so I'm going to jump out.
Okay.
Great, Frank. Thank you so much.
But great to see you, Tony, and let's connect again. And Dennis, I'm going to look at your stuff, and we should definitely connect as well.
Right. Great. Thanks for your time.
That's good. Thanks,
I followed you both on Twitter.
And I definitely want to thank I definitely want to take some time to thank all these people that have given up their morning to share with us. And we appreciate you. And hopefully if we've answered everybody's questions, if we haven't, you can throw them in there now, and I'll try to help answer them in any way. And Grateful Tony will do it too as well. So, and I want to thank Tony for showing up on time and taking all this time as well. Thank you for interviewing me. This is such a great opportunity.
This was awesome. I learned a lot from you, and I know that you're such a value. I really want people to follow your podcast, and I'm going to put my community in here as well. So if you found a lot of value in this blab, I would love for you guys to join my Facebook group called Gumption, Grace, and Gratitude, where you can learn how to live your life intentionally with gratitude. I believe that gratitude is a lifestyle, and it's when you create habits of gratitude. I wake up every morning and I say, thank you, God. And when I create these habits, then I start living life more abundantly and with intention. And I'm always looking for ways to, get better at that and improve the quality of not only my life, but my children's life. And be focused on what I need to create a better life for myself and help other people, most importantly, because my goal is to help thousands of people in the next year engage effectively online and in their life using gratitude. And I just really believe that that can transform lives and transform businesses. So I'm going to put that link in here as well.
And I want to touch on exactly what you are, Toni, because that is absolutely the truth. And I know a lot of people may not completely understand the value that, I mean, obviously gratitude, we know it's there, but I've always said that a sentence is a book sometimes. And when people understand how to bring gratitude in their life in more and more different ways, it really is the key to a lot of things you want to unlock in your life, is understanding how gratitude plays a big role in everything you do. And it's so important to understand how to utilize it. And, kind of talking like before about, how do I learn how to be a great golfer? Well, I go out there and I spend 12 hours a day practicing golf. How often do we all go and practice gratitude? Do we practice for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, an hour? Have you ever spent a whole day working on gratitude? And so a lot of people don't really know why the things they don't come into their life is, have you actually spent 5 hours in a day? I've spent 5 hours in a sand trap once practicing sand traps because I see instant gratification, right? Whereas with the mind, you don't get the instant gratification, so to speak. But if you go and practice it in public with friends, everything, you'll start seeing that instant gratification come in big ways. So what you're doing is absolutely.
You're absolutely right. And it's all those little things, like my daughter, we were at church and she went up to the choir, one of the choir members, and she's 4 years old. And she's like, she said to them, I really loved your singing. And he stopped me and he's like, what did she just say? I said, she said, thank you for your singing and for your wonderful singing. And he said, nobody's ever said that to me. He's like, she just made my day. And, I think that it really is a lifestyle. It really is habits. And I do a lot of things wrong as a mom. I could use Super Nanny. I could use Super Nanny, definitely. Yeah. But the one thing that I really try to instill, and that's by being an example, is just habits of gratitude. We go into Wawa, the local store near us, and we thank the people, really thank people. When I went to the nursing home where my great aunt is a couple weeks ago, and I got down on my knee and I said, I want to let you know that I appreciate you. And she's like, really? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm thinking to myself, I tell you, I love you, and I'm here, aren't I? There's a million other things I'd rather be doing than sitting in a nursing home, right? But she needed to hear that I appreciated her. And sometimes, it's just that extra mile that we need to go to let people know that we appreciate them, and to ourselves too, practicing gratitude to ourselves, because we're our own worst enemy.
That's a big one. Yep, absolutely.
So I do incantations, and I tell myself, you're awesome, you're wealthy, you're amazing, you have to.
Just on Facebook, if somebody likes your photo, don't you feel good? I mean, or even if they comment, you feel even better. You feel like, wow, somebody's paying attention to me. I mean, if somebody wanted to start right here after this blab and do something, go on and find some random people that are your friends, because we all have random people that are friends on Facebook, and just comment or like their photo, and you'll just you might end up making a friend. That's how I'm in this blab right now, as I just showed up and commented on one of Carolyn's posts, and look what's happening. So this is the gratitude paying forward right here. I mean, I'm getting interviewed on this great blab in front of people. It doesn't matter how many people. I don't care if there's one person watching. It doesn't matter, because if we're making their day, we've done our job. That's one of the biggest things I used to say. It's one of the biggest things I used to say when I was addressing 1,000 kids is, I'm not here to save all 1,000 of you. I'm just here to save one of you. And if I do that, then I've done my job. But what happens is I end up saving most of them because, well, I'm not saving them, but getting in their heads, because they realize I want to be that person. So if there's one person listening here today that we can change their life, and they're going to just go and they're going to be in a blab, and they're going to go do something. They're going to take something we learned together as a collaboration here today and share it somewhere else. And that's going to grow, and that's going to grow, and that's going to grow. So
that is so true, Dennis. We're ending on such a good note. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I want to encourage people to, to smile and breathe and appreciate that they were given a life. There's only, one you. There's a million, billion chances of you being born, and there's nobody like you, So embrace that and just treat yourself with respect, and others appreciate the all the little things that are around you, and things will start happening. I really believe that.
That's something very huge you just said is there's only one you, and people don't realize that at all. That we're all trying to be somebody else, but one thing life guarantees that every single particle, every piece of this universe is different from every other piece. And so when you realize that you're no good trying to be the same as somebody else, when you realize you're no good trying to be somebody else, then life changes right there and right then. If you have a big nose like me, you got a big nose for a purpose. You got, whatever, your hair is balding, whatever it is, doesn't matter. That's you. And if you identify with that, the world loves it. Look at the TV stations now. I mean, look at all the actors. They're overweight. They're not the Fabio anymore. They're not the Pamela Andersons anymore. They're just real people, and people are just radiating to them because they're being real. They're saying things. They can't speak properly. They can't do anything, and people are just like, I'm that person too. I can relate to you. Whereas before it was pedestal, and now pedestal's gone. And that's a great thing that's happening now, is people are just understanding that I am different and I am going to deal with it. It's awesome.
When I was in 7th grade, see this little birthmark I have here?
Mm-hmm.
I was so embarrassed about my birthmark when I was in 7th grade. I wore turtlenecks every single day for the whole year. And I remember, I think it was like 8th grade, that my mom took me to this like beauty place. We didn't have much money. So we bought this like $20 cream, which was a big deal because we could barely afford like CVS, And she bought me this like cover up to like cover it up because I was so like, somebody said something like Tony has a hickey or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and was so upset by it. But now I'm like, I don't care. Like, I think, that marks me. That makes me different than everybody else. And everybody has that. Like, everybody has something that makes them different, makes them unique. May not even be visible, but it's who you are,
Yep. Well, once we resonate with that,
Ken McArthur.
Life changes instantly once we resonate with that. It just goes to a whole different level. I mean, obviously it's a process and it takes time, but I mean, I got some friends that they'll wear a thong. I couldn't do that, but they'll jump up here and I'm in a thong, I mean, they don't care and you know what? We all respect them, right? Like, because he's not wearing it for the purpose of what we think it is. He's just wearing it hey, that's whatever, I'm going to do it.
What he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Ken McArthur says, whether you choose to or not, you make a difference. If you don't follow him, you should follow him because he's really great. I was lucky enough to meet him a couple weekends ago. But it's true. Like, when you walk into a room, you're going to make a difference in that room, whether you want to or not.
You want to hear a great story?
Sure.
I, as a professional athlete in the summers, it was the summers, the fall, whatever it was. I think summers, we used to do a YMCA camp where we'd go and we'd train kids. It was just kind of like at the time, it was kind of like work for us because we wanted to ride our bikes and do things, but we ended up teaching little kids. And this one kid, we literally taught how to ride a bike. And at that time, I was like, this guy's pretty cool. He's listening, he's learning, he's growing and becoming better. Now he's one of the #1 X Games riders, making millions of dollars today on ESPN. It's just amazing. Yeah. It's just like, so what I'm saying here is you plant the seed, you'll forget about the seed for years. And then you go back and you see the seed and look what it becomes. And it's just wow. I've had so many of those situations where people have come and you just put something in their life and then you come back later. This guy named Tom Beal, his mom hired me to go out and do shows with them. And now he's one of the leading motivational speakers around the world. If you look him up, Tom Beal, and he's amazing. I'm like, and I reconnected him after 25 years. I was like, are you crazy? That's crazy. It was so exciting to reconnect with him after 25 years of just going to his house, hanging out with him. He's really such a nice kid, but I forgot about him pretty much. I think we contacted me 1 or 2 times within that 25 years. And I come back and somehow he found me on Twitter and he's like, hey, Dennis, how you doing? I go, hey, what's going on? I go, what are you up to? He's like, well, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? And I start Googling him and, he's on stage with a thong on and doing anything and teaching people. And now he's got this thing called Make Today Great, maketodaygreat.com. And he's amazing. And now we're going to reconnect. I'm going to fly down to Boca Raton, Florida and hang out with him and do some different great things. So planting seeds, that was a 25-year-old seed that I planted. And we can't forget those days that we spent together. And now look at what's happened, So it's pretty amazing. It's certainly amazing. Like you're planting seeds right now, and you don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 or 20 years. I mean, you said, you told me you should tell your story about the whole Tony Robbins thing. That's an amazing story. So I lose you volume wise. I think we lost you.
Sorry, I put myself on mute in case you were hearing my heater or any distractions.
Oh, no. It's okay. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. So I had lost my job, single mom, going kind of crazy, to say the least, very scared, a lot of fear. And I decided that every night I was going to meet with somebody who had something that I wanted. And there was a guy I went to college with that I was friends with on Facebook that randomly, this is such so random, serendipitous. He said, I think you should meet with Ed. You guys post the same kind of stuff, whatever that means, everybody posts inspirational things, I think.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm going to take it a step further and I'm going to meet Ed for coffee. So I met Ed for coffee. And after 20 minutes of telling him who I am and, that I have a passion for people, but, I've gone through some challenging times. I've put myself in some challenging times. And he said that he wanted to send me to Tony Robbins, that he has a nonprofit organization called Inspired Tribe. And he said, in 3 months, if you want to, in this conversation, still having coffee, just met him 20 minutes ago. He said, I want to send you to Tony Robbins Unleash the Power event, Unleash the Power Within event in New York City. I'll pay for your hotel. I'll pay for everything. It's in 2 months. All you got to do is say you're going to be there and do great things. And I'm like, what kind of great things? Sure, I'm in. I can't say no. This, I know of Tony Robbins, but I didn't know the magnitude of what would happen. And after I went, they basically brainwash you to think that you're awesome, which everybody's awesome. But we tell these stories to ourselves that create problems. Tony, you're not good enough. You're not a good mom. You tried this before and it didn't work. So what makes you think you can do this now? All those little voices in your head that distract you from your destiny. Fear is a good thing, but when we allow fear to control our destiny, that's when it's a problem, right? So Christina wanted to jump in here real quick.
There you go. So this is Christina. I just had her on my podcast last week. And
great.
Amazing. Watch out, because the whole energy is going to change here. What's up, Christina?
Awesome. Hey, Christina.
Hey, everybody.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for jumping in.
Thanks for hosting my first blab.
Your first
love
blab.
It. Yay.
Wow. Yeah, it's
so
awesome, isn't it?
We're talking about fear, or if we're asking for what we want?
We're talking about everything. What's your story? Tell us more about you. I guess Dennis already knows, but I don't know anything about you.
Oh man, my story is kind of crazy. I have a lot of crazy things that have happened in my life. A lot of edgy stuff that ended up being the places where, those really scary places. Like you were just talking about, you lost your job and you're a single mom and it's really scary. And then you figure it out. And on the other side of that, you're so much more powerful because of having gone through it and had to learn all of those skills, right? And now what you're capable of is so much more than before. So right. A lot of stories like that. So now I'm a coach and I work with really powerful people, helping them kind of get out of their own way and also helping them, telling them the things that most people won't. Like when you work with powerful, when you have power and people are working under you and they want things from you, they're validating you all the time, right? They're trying to tell you what they think you want to hear, which isn't helpful all the time, right? So I loved earlier when Dennis was explaining about his software, about the videos, and then you can comment on them. And he basically made an invitation. If you see something missing, if you want this to be better, tell me. Don't just tell me how good it is. Tell me how this can be better. Love that.
That's what life's all about, right? It's not just about, hey, I got something, this is the end product. No, it's hey, how can we work together to be better, right? That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
I think life never changed. It never. And we all try to find a goal to accomplish. But once you realize, I don't know if you guys can feel this with me, but you get to the goal and you never even realize you accomplished it because you're on to the next goal. So we really essentially never really accomplish goals. We just accomplish a level of success in our life that we continue upon. I mean, how many times I go look back at my spreadsheets from 2005 and stuff and say, yeah, I got that one done. I didn't even know it. I got that one done. I didn't even know it. I got that one done. I didn't know it. You know, so it's like, you know, the only one I haven't succeeded is going bald yet. but yeah, I mean, you realize you don't really accomplish. You just continually, it's a continuum. And when we learn that it's a continuum, then life continues. And then we now find it's a journey because I'm sure all of us have had success before, but it's the journey. It's the journey that we love, right? I'm sure you get, as soon as you get that nice $100,000 car, it's like, okay, I got it. Okay, well, I got something else I'm trying to work on. But yeah.
6 months before I met my ex-husband, I wrote this letter to the man of my dreams at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I know that you're going to be this, this, and this. And he was all those things, plus a few other things. But I'm sure I was too. But I wrote this letter and I made that happen. Like I put that intention out there and I put it in my nightstand. I'll never forget. Put it in my nightstand, close the door. And then 6 months later, I'm like, I meet this guy, start dating. Everything's going awesome. We're doing great. And then I remembered the letter and I'm like, you know, we really do create the things that we put out there, you know, the things that I'm doing my DMPS statement for Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
And every day I'm like, this is what is going to happen. It's next year and I'm going to be this. I'm going to be, you know, a better person. I'm going to be, you know, engaging with thousands of people on stage and motivational speaking and connecting with awesome people like you guys and all this stuff. And you really can create the life that you vision. But that's why I love this product that you have, Dennis, so much that you're giving people a resource to make that happen. I think that's awesome.
Well, it's a lifetime of trial and error for sure, no doubt about it. But yeah, and even if you take it a step further, like, so you moved on from that relationship, now he has an opportunity to go share with somebody else and you have an opportunity to go share with somebody else. So it's a continuum, right? It doesn't, a divorce isn't the end
he's
of
a great
anybody's
guy.
life. Yeah. He's making somebody else's life abundant. He's made so it's a continuum. Life is a continuum. It keeps moving. It keeps evolving. It keeps changing. The weather changes every single day. Our minds women are the perfect example. Their emotions change every day. So they're so emotional and so strongly creative in our planet. But I mean, guys are simple. We just are machines. We just run around and we just want to hit a baseball or we want to drive a car fast or something like that. We're simple. We're not so emotionally attached like you guys are, but that's what drives us. So that's why the connection between male and female happens, is because you have something we don't have and we have something you don't have. You love the manliness and stuff like that. I'm not, so I'm probably going too far with this, but
you're right. You're right.
Yeah. It's the give and receive there. So you can take it into anything. You can take it into a relationship. You can take it into business. You can take it into this blab. It's a continuum. And if we look like, oh my God, it takes so much pressure off things now. I don't have to, think that's the end all, so.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. Christina, it was so nice meeting you. I'm going to have to go back and listen to the podcast that you did with Dennis.
Yeah, I posted a link there too. So, and she made one of the most amazing testimonials for me too. It was so sweet of her. And I'm going to use it to the fullest.
What a great podcast.
We actually took a gratitude story that Christina did, and we went viral with it a little bit. If you can probably find it on my post, we got over 1,000 views on it. But she had an occasion where she was in the subway, but I'll let you guys go find that instead of talking about it, because I know we've been on here for an hour and a half now, or 2 hours. So
I know, right? Time flies when you're having fun.
Get back to our real jobs. So awesome.
Okay, guys.
Thank you much. And I'll send the recording too. So if any of you just jumped in the end and you want to hear the awesome beginning, please go back and listen to the recording. I will have it on you. Dennis, you can post it on your Facebook page, and I'll have it on my Facebook group, my Gumption, Grace, and Gratitude Facebook group. I'll put it there. And you guys, I hope you have an outstanding, awesome, amazing day. I know I will. And
you made my day.
Take care.
So,
And thank you. You made my day too. Bye, guys.
All right. We'll talk soon, everybody. Bye, Christina.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Bye.